Aloha, so very nice to see you. In tune here, here's a high G, or your low G. Alrighty, so this was more of a construction. The basis of what we did, we worked over the key of G and the key of A. Both are very close to each other. The other ones we working over odd chords, like your flats and your sharps. To go through F sharp and realize you're going to be going from F sharp to G sharp, so on and so forth. It changes the way the brain sees it, but the patterns on the hand are still the same. Therefore, seeing G major as being this, or being this and this, is the same thing as seeing this as being an A minor, and then this is also being an A minor, and this is being an A minor. That's what we went over. These are just inversions in the secondary position. Our third inversion is going to be the higher one up. Even though we don't call them third inversions, we call them second inversions, still the same. With your lower string, that makes your inversions different because your lowest note is then on a different, the string is the lowest note. However, that's up for you to decide on what you want to actually name it. Long story short, it always comes down to the patterns. So the patterns we're going to see are going to fall back into the cage system. You even made a mention, you're like, oh, thanks for saying the F because it reminds me of a C like guitar, and you're absolutely correct. Memorization of where these patterns are essential. Just the same thing in playing the piano when you're doing your triads, knowing how far apart a fourth and a fifth is. It's essentially, you're not thinking, oh, G to C to G is the fifth. You're just thinking that, oh, that's what my hand does in correlation with this type of inversion. Same thing happens on this. So the homework or the onus is on you to do it on the other chords. However, I'm going to re-establish the G major, the A, and I might show you like a B flat or an E flat or something just to push it along. Okay, so here we go. Our pattern shape number one that we're going to be using when we're going up this level, using anything for like, let's say, F, G, A, B, and C possibly. So here's the F, here's the G, here's the A, here's the C, here's the B. So when we're moving these, we're going to have these different patterns that you're going to be able to see. The first pattern is going to be your G major. The G major you have, when we play it as a bar chord, is also what we would know as an F major chord. So G and F, practically the same. When we play an A major, we scoot that A major up to a B flat and then to a B, our A and our B flat are made out of that same structure. Therefore, those are practically the same. Same thing with our C here. The only variance about it is this C. When we play it open, we've got three open notes and then this note up top. So when we move it up to C sharp, we have to bar. Thusly, when we keep doing that up, it changes the value from a C major to a C sharp, to a D major, to an E major, to an F major, to a G major, so on and so forth. So what we're going to be seeing right here is when we move this from a C major, our next note is going to be a D minor, right? So if we move this C major up to a C sharp and we play a D major, what we have to realize is this D major needs to be a D minor, thusly giving us our first spread. Our D minor down here has an F in it, has an A in it, has a D. So we've got our D, F, A, 1, 3, 5. If we had a major, it would be D, F sharp, but it's not, it's an F. Therefore, this spread over here takes the place of this last A note, which is in the chord, but we're going to be moving this A up to this D, giving us a higher note. Doesn't change the inversion because the lowest note for me would still be that D. For you, it would be the A. Therefore, if you're on the lower, with the lower string. Therefore, that's a good stretch, which leads me to my third principle for my teaching. Lesson 2 is the teeter-totters. Lesson 1 was the spiders. Lesson 3 is called the big reach. What we're going to do is use the 1, 2, 3, 4, which is going to be our 1, 2, 3, 4 frets up to the 5th, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9, 10, 11, and 12. Thusly, all 12 of those semitones, half step, minor seconds, brings us up to our high A. Does it in every key. A sharp, B, B sharp, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, and then A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3 phrasings of 4. However, to get that pinky nice in movement, if we're going to do a chord like a G major and add the 5th, that's awesome. We're adding that D on top. I'm sorry, 5th fret I meant. So we've got G, A, B, C, D. Ipso facto, turns out it's the 5th as well. when I do that, that's the stretch. I probably would never do something like this where I'm going to stretch from G all the way to my 7th. It's possible. It's a hell of a stretch. But I wouldn't do that. However, I would take this, disassemble it, and put it back the other way, so when I'm putting this up top, I know that I could have this, which is like my A minor. My G major is going to be right here. Well, how do I find these notes up top? Well, what's in a G major? G, B, and D. If I know that I can find my G note and go up one more phrasing, and then that note is going to be an A, it's not in, so G, A, B. B is going to be in my notes. How about this note? We had down here the D. Well, if I go up a whole step, D is going to go to E. Is E inside of G, B, D? Nope. If I go up another whole step, I get an F sharp. Is F sharp in there? No. Try going down. F? No. Try going up. What happens is when we move this around, we're going to find the place to put our finger is going to sometimes be another chord. So this chord up here, pinky on the 10th, barring at the 7th, G major. Well, what other chords does that remind of? D major, E major, F. So at this point, we're going to be able to see this note being turned. So just like the A minor to the A minor to the A minor to the A minor, you've got G major to the G major to the G major to the G major, and all these are going to work themselves up. The onus is on you to find those positions, those intervals, and see how those fingers move. And I can tell you, if you're moving in one felt swoop, you're only going to be switching between two pattern shapes, a major pattern shape and a minor pattern shape, thusly leaving the 7th of that whole thing as your diminished pattern shape. At this point, we should just be able to see how to make a diminished from a major. Knowing how to make a minor from a major is simple, flattening the 3rd. Knowing how to make a augmented from a major should be a little bit simple too, raising the 5th. However, when we're shooting for a diminished, it feels weird because we're moving 2 notes, moving that 3 and that 5. We want to have a flat 3 and a flat 5 to move through there. So if we're going to be using our chord structures, let's say we're playing an A major. A major, to take our A major here, we can't move one of these open notes down because that's going to be, so like in an A major, here's an A major, A minor, wonderful. Well, if then A major, where we're not going to be moving, we're going to be moving the 3rd down, that's great, but I can't move my 5th, A, B, C, D, E, A, B, C, D, sharp, D, E. I can't move that E down to an E flat without changing that one note that I moved from a C sharp to a C. So I need to use an inversion. When I jump up the fretboard, it's easier to see that movement as being an A major here or an A major here. When I see my A major as being a bar chord, just like my G major, A major, G major, A major, I can then take my 3 and my 5 and flatten those by a half step. So knowing that, I can get my augmented chord from that by raising a 5th, flattening the 3rd, flattening the 5th for the diminished, flattening just the 3rd for the minor. So knowing how to be able to manipulate your triad so you can get your diminished, your augmented, your major, your minor, diminished, dominants. Those is basically is a chord review for you at that point. The point is to go up the fretboard rather than staying down the fretboard. Meaning, when you do a C major, no sharps, no flats, C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, forgot I was doing C, D, E, F, G, A minor, B diminished, and C. You can do the same thing in every other key by just scooting that up and playing those same chord structures with your teeter-totter function. So I still have a C with my pinky up here holding that. I still have a D minor right here, but it's not a D minor, it's a D sharp minor, right? So we've got a D sharp minor, E sharp minor, which we know kind of goes to an F. It's what it is, it's an F minor, but we don't call it that. So go through these individually. Once you get through C sharp, try D. D will have D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp diminished. Now base that C sharp diminished right off of the same way you did it with C. D is a whole step up from C. So when we've got our C major, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, that triad for the B diminished, which is my B, D, and F, when I move it up to my C diminished, I know it feels weird, but I'm only going to be moving every one of those notes up a half step. That's thusly going to give me a C, a D sharp, and an F sharp. When I do that, the same difference is to that. It just so happens that the caveat and trick that I've used is doing the fifth of the chord we're in, making that a dominant note, and then that becomes your diminished of what it is. So in the key of G, we're looking for an F sharp diminished. Well, what's the fifth in G? G, A, B, C, D. So if I take a D major and I go past the D major 7 by flattening the D to a C sharp, and then I get rid of that C sharp and I make it a C, I get a D dominant 7. Well, my D dominant 7, when I use it as the function of my C sharp, not my C sharp, my F sharp diminished, I get the chord structure. G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor. Here we go. F sharp diminished. It's a D7. And then a G. So I guess at this point, chord recognition for majors and minors, chord recognition for diminished and augmented, chord recognition for interval spacings. What goes where? Moving it up the fretboard, the same way we did today, seeing the A minor, A minor, A minor, and then A minor. The way to get better at doing that is influence that with the teeter-totter motion. So go from like A minor, 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 maybe to G major, G major, G major, G major, B minor, B minor, B minor, B minor, A minor, A minor, A minor, A minor. Different inversion with the high D, E up top. A good way to do that is to do the quick 1, 2, 3, 4, A minor. Leave the pinky off. 3, 4, back to G major. This time do the same thing, but leave the pinky on and take that third finger off. So that's hovering in the air. Now go back to the G major, R1. We're still going to go to the minor second here, but we're going to play all the notes. So it's going to look like our backwards triangle right here with our first finger on the C at the 3rd fret. Next, we're going to go back to the G major. We're going to do that same chord, but we're going to take our first finger that was here at the 3rd fret and start the movement at our 4th fret on that C string at the 4th fret for an E note. When we make that backwards triangle and then put out our pinky up on the 7th fret, we still have an A minor, but now we've got it in a different inversion. Try doing each one of those inversions back and forth with the G major, and then the last time influencing just that high one. I'm going to do it a little fast. If you need to slow it down, try up here in the top. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, pinky off. 1, 2, 3, 4, third finger off. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the fingers on. G, inversion, G. Now that half on the G is going to force you to be able to lay your fingers down right directly there. The caveat and the best part of this is once you start recognizing the movements like these as being this, you're going to realize that those movements are the exact same thing as the other chords you know. That's an F major shape. You put down that finger, that's going to be a minor every time, okay? So when we're seeing that, we've got G major, A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, F diminished, no, F sharp diminished, which should be like a D7. I generally just do my pinky at the 12th fret on the A string to give us an A note. I generally do my second finger on the E string at the 10th fret, which is going to give me my what is it? E, D sharp D, yeah. And then my C at the 12th fret with my 3rd finger, and then my second finger, caveat to that, first finger is on the E string, second finger on the high G or your low G. That's going to give you this nice chord, which resolves into your back to your G. Okay, so all the way up the fretboard, being able to manipulate these, going in turns, doing one at a time, and then going all the way up is another great way to do it. Cool. Other than that, I think we did a great job. Try doing this one as well. This one works with the 3 groupings. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then pinky. Try it with hammer-on, slides, 1, 2, 3, 4, or pull-offs, 1, 2, 3, 4, or slides, or double sides, which are very hard. I have a hard time doing it because I never practice those. After that, try this exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. What that does is it backs up off this. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, slide up a half. You can take your third finger and hit that top note, your second finger for a stretch, and then take your whole finger and slide it up there without looking. As soon as you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, half step, stretch, stretch, slide up to the same one, and then do that at the 5th, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to show you how to jump over the note you need to be able to go back. The last thing that we worked on, which is going to be a physical thing for the whole ukulele, take your hand and just slide up there normally. Don't karate chop it, but go up here until your hand hits the fretboard, lay your fingers down, and realize where your fingers go. That's where you're going to have to train your brain to go back to, over to, onto. Sometimes you luck out and the ukulele you get and the size of your fingers and the way that head works together. When you do this, you drop your fourth finger down, it lands directly on the 12th. Very so often it doesn't though. Mine doesn't as well. When I do my split like this, my pinky drops down on the 13th fret. So I know, as I saw yours, you're gonna have to go back about a half step or about the size of a pinky. So when you slide up, you can do it one of two ways. You can either go up, feel the distance, 1, 2, 3, 4, and know 1, 2, 3, 4, and drop your finger, and then you're on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or you can let your hand hit it, go to close, and then pull back just a tiny bit. So it goes boom, bop. I don't like this latter one, but I could tell you by doing the first one and trying it with your first finger, second finger, and third finger, over a period of time, you're going to choose the finger you want to go to anywhere. Best way to do that is to play the full chord itself and try to jump to that. So if you're doing like an E, play an E major, and then slide your finger up and try and smack that E right here at the 12th. Figure out what finger you want to go to. What will happen is when you play like an F, and then you go up here and go, you'll go, oh, well, that's an E. You'll notice by playing an F down here, smacking your finger, and then laying down your second finger will hit the F note for you. Cool? So work on those individual chords like a G major, sliding up here, and then putting down your finger to hit the high G. What you'll notice is each finger has a different way after you hold a shape, like G when it goes up and your hands hit here. Your pinky misses that. I'm not going to use my pinky to play that high G because I would never double back to hit that. So physically doing this, it's going to line up what finger feels good for you. We'll reconvene next week to see if these finger patterns worked out for you. Make sure on each one of these that you take it very slow at a measure of like something like 50 beats per minute. When you have that and you've successfully done it, just like our spider exercises, once you get all of them super solid, you can get through all 4 and then do it as a rotation. As soon as you feel confident about that, that's when you can change your speed on it and change the different way that you want to attack it. Tap, 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 tap. More 4s. So this goes for every exercise. Start slow, change it up a little on yourself, and after a period of time, you can take every lesson that we've done and add one little tweak in it, and that thusly changes the way that you're going to perform. Okay? I really enjoyed seeing you this week. I cannot wait to see you next week. Aloha.